Good evening and welcome back to the Bear Cave. I'm Teddy, and you are listening to Analyze This Mess because someone had to say it. So I know it's 11:30, and I'm going to try to pack as much as I can into a half an hour with maybe some commentary. Analyze this mess because what I've been doing. Well, I got in rather late, but I went through some of my old videos, mine, and I pulled one out from July the 11th, 2022. And that was the night that it was Night Talk. And let me just pull it real quick. Now, I hope, hey, hang on, let me just put this banner up real quick. And let me also say this just in case this channel, something happens, something goes down. It's probably because I have to clean my, um, a lot of the software up and programs and files. I have a lot on this computer. So I need to, offload, download, or a lot of the files onto other disks, or not disks, but hard drive. Okay, so I've got the video up. And this was the night that Crazy Lucian, well, all my moderators were in the chat, but Crazy Lucian brought up a subject about her saying that she had been hacked, that her email had been hacked, and then she talked about posts being over on BitChute. Well, this went for a period of time. And after she said, basically she was done, she said goodbye to the chat. Then suddenly Danielle Robertson appears in the chat. Mhm. And she confronts me. She confronts the chat and accuses me and others of lying on her. Okay. Crazy Lucian mentions an individual. She asked Danny Robertson, "Do you know Tony? Do you know Tony?" As I'm reading through these comments. And then Caramel, she's like, "Tony, who's Tony?" And I'm like, "Tony? What does she mean by that?" But just before Crazy Lucian says, she's bye, to everyone, she mentions, what is she? There's just so much in this one. Maybe I should let's play some of it. Yeah, maybe I should. Anyway, so Danny Robertson comes into the chat, and this is the chat when she says, payback is a bish. I'll just say it like that. And this is also the video when Dave Oz confronts her after she confronts me, says something, and they have a little back and forth in the chat. But I'm looking at this now wondering, because I also pulled some of my email from Crazy Lucian, and she had emailed me the same day on July the 11th 3 times. And she would normally, she was my moderator, she would, um, you know, email me, as did the others. But in this video, she was saying that, something like I should be standing up, like really going in on these trolls that had been coming to, the bear cave. And essentially that I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't speaking out enough. That was kind of the underlying message. Um, but as I was getting ready to say at the end, then she sort of apologized for interrupting, she says, uh, the show, the program, whatever I was getting ready to talk about, because the bulk of it was about 40, maybe 40 minutes, let's just say 35, 40 minutes, that Crazy Lucian, I just allowed her, just to get it off her chest, lots of comments that she was making. Lisa was making some comments. Something that was significant is Crazy Lucian had again mentioned what had been posted on BitChute about her and Lisa being accused of being racist. All right. Blocking people and doing this. And if it weren't true, that, I just should not have allowed these trolls to say such things and so forth. Okay, that was the point. And then, like I said, Danny Robertson comes in after that and starts going at it. It would only be 6 days later that my channel would go down, Unwind with Teddy. All right. People were behind the scenes doing things. People were aware of what was getting ready to take place because remember, Goody's channel name, Trill T Radio, I later found out that Crazy Lucian, Amina K, Red Label, Goody had a conversation around the takedown. All right. And it's when Crazy Lucian, after my channel was taken down, that she had this conversation. There's before and there's after. And I'm still trying to piece together some of the missing, I'll just say the clues, because they were being sprinkled all throughout. And I just didn't realize the involvement of a lot of people during that summer and leading up to it. It was as if you had this group of people over here. Okay. You might have had another little pocket of folks over here, over there. Okay. Also, there was this accusation that had been floated that I had doxed Crazy Lucian by way of this boarding pass as well. At some point, I am going to process some of these emails, conversations, videos. One of the things, though, that I went back to analyze to the beginning of when I was accused of this using the AI voice for some malicious intent initially, that it was all part of the plan, that I had somehow, planned to take over and do things. And well, I put through the email or the DM that I sent or the conversation that I had with Danny Robertson and my words when I had made her aware that I was going to use the robotic voice in a Halloween, as a Halloween trick, I called it, spoof. I'm going to tell you my exact wording because I wanted to know what AI's impression of it was. So part of this again is going back to the beginning and then also looking at this part of the conversation, you know, just before my channel went down. So let me just play a little bit of this and let you hear. Mm, let's see. You can see there was lots of posts by Crazy Lucian. She says, and then you get trolls entering what was my happy place, trolling, knowing they are part of that evil doing. How can you not snap? How? Tell me. Tell me. Okay. Just because of the time, I'm just going to play through. She says, I have had my Microsoft account hacked 11 times. Yes, you heard right, 11 times. Mhm. I've had my Instagram account hacked, my WhatsApp. And for those that are unaware, then she started talking about, her mother who was ill, and then later sometime um, passed. It was sometime, much time after that. Okay. So basically, the stress that she was, under. She says, we have let them trolls enter the chat time after time only to disrespect us. Okay. And just imagine, I won't play it tonight, but I will play it. I will play the video when Crazy Lucian went to Goody's channel so that people can understand the dynamics of, like what was going on and why. Because I was I was kind of oblivious to knowing that all of this would be going on, this setup behind the scenes. Mhm. She says, when you have not seen me in the chat, trust and believe me, I've always been in the bushes supporting Unwind with Teddy because I didn't want to lose it. But enough is enough in a real world. Okay. So if you remember, there were some times that she would come in and then she'd sit one out. I guess maybe this was building. Okay. Mm. So let's see. I have nothing but love for you, Unwind with Teddy, but it's enough than a broken heart. Let me go up to the next one. All this doxing is fun until it becomes legal. Unwind with Teddy, you have trusted too many people who has betrayed you over and over, and we still show them love. It's interesting that she talks about betrayal there. You have trusted too many people who has betrayed you over and over, and we still show them love. Now, when someone is saying that, and I'm looking at that, I'm reading that, you're my moderator. Little did I know that one of the biggest betrayals was in the making. In the making. Let's listen. Let me go to the next one. I'm a strong black woman, but this right here is why they have judges and juries. I will fight tooth and buckler. This is in real time. So, what you're saying, this isn't rehearsed, this isn't planned, this is real time, it's not scripted. And I can see from a number of people in the chat that they are saddened, but no one more than me in the chat. Because on some real level, I could have just intervened and just really just said no more. But I allowed those individuals to continue, and they permeated, and they have been wearing people down. Crazy Lucian says at Unwind with Teddy, when all is said and done, and we are still standing by you, what's the next move? For every action, there is a reaction. All right, I see Vicky says no sound. Unwind with Teddy. Can you hear my voice? I have the video turned up. So I had my headphones on because I'm listening to my conversation. All right. It was low. Yeah. It was a moment when our channel, our channel was being ripped apart, divided. And this was a moment when it was subtle confrontational, like out in the open. I'm listening to what Crazy Lucian, I'm thinking, is feeling, you know, as she's sharing what is going on. All right. So I'm listening for, I let this go on for, this became, half of the program. So just, I was giving you some example. I'll play a few more. Then I'm going to skip to the part when Daniel Robertson comes in to the chat. Baby Juju says, I remember all of this. Let's take a listen. I know what I'd like my next move to be. I'm not going to discuss it with this audience. I can discuss it with you and the other moderators. So at that point, I felt, all right, we need to take this discussion off and behind the scenes with just the moderators, because now, you know, a lot has already been said. She's feeling, I'm sensing, you know, what's going on. And maybe I just thought, it was kind of painful. The video recording is low. Okay. That's probably it. I don't know how to. You know what I can do? Let's see if. Well, that would just turn up the audio for the mic. Um, I think I was speaking low at this point because it was, maybe I felt that, or I was sensing that she thought I let her and the others down. That I didn't come to her defense or Lisa's, all right, or the moderators when these trolls were coming into the chat. They had just run rampant during a period of time. All right. At least that's, based on her comments, that's what I was feeling. It made me feel that, as this is my channel and my moderators, on some level, she made me feel as if I had let her down, had let the others down. Okay. So I was listening to this and thinking, I acknowledged, mhm, but that this wasn't going to continue to happen. I was new to all of, having all these moderators. And one by one, it was humbling, It was. But I didn't understand. I didn't understand and didn't know that behind the scenes, Crazy Lucian was working hand in hand with Goody If you've listened to, and I've listened to even a recent video of Goodies, mhm, she has said some things in there that I absolutely made me sit up. Like she knows what's going on and behind the scenes and the folks and how it's all played. Okay, I don't want to get off into that, but something recently, it was very telling for me. Mhm. How this whole game is being played, because remember when she came, she's had a fallout and in and out and in and out, but they all play together. Okay, because I did not know that Crazy Lucian was connected to Goody. That was a shocker. It's like, why would you want to, share your story or whatever on her platform when you're here? I didn't understand that. Yeah. Why take it to her? But I didn't know that my channel was getting ready to go down. Okay. But then let's just one or two more, and then I'm going to jump to when Danny Robertson comes in. Let me just read this comment. She says, "I'm Wine with Teddy. When all is said and done, and we are still standing by you, what's the next move? For every action, there is a reaction. For every action, there is a reaction." Was she sending me a message? Was she sending me the message? Because behind the scenes, she called herself investigating me and then went over to Goodies and accused me of being Danny Robertson. But then she's over there playing with them. Mhm. Yes. Like playing both sides. Because you don't, no, I never did anything wrong to Crazy Lucian, but she accused me of doing wrong. I'm not talking about, or I should say, referring to this whole, Danny Robertson and hacking her and trying to do something to her. Mhm. Yeah. So now let's skip a little bit. Here's Lisa, and Lisa and who had been with me for a long time since the beginning, just after Darlene. Somehow she was convinced by Crazy Lucian, so much so that they were, I learned, in cahoots behind the scenes. When I'm thinking they're investigating something else, they were investigating me. Mhm. Yes. When she said she was coming to America, coming back over here for Danny Robertson, she confronted me. Mhm. That's why the police were notified. You haven't seen those conversations, the things that she said to me. And then Danny Robertson would obtain that police transcript with Crazy Lucian, the things that I had put there, use it against me, use the script, all of that. The things that Goody said, the things that Crazy Lucian said when Crazy Lucian came in that one morning and just went on. Called me all kinds of bees and liars and I was stunned in front of, my chat. A person asked, is that really Crazy Lucian? Yeah, or is this a troll? All right. So Lisa says the same thing. I was called a racist and a horrible picture was posted. Similar, she says, to Teddy Bundy. You see that there? Or maybe you can't. Let me just remove that banner. So you can see her full comment. Okay. So Lisa, who was a loyal moderator, her and Darlene, been with me long standing, would also be pulled away one by one by one. The division and the chaos would ensue. Yeah. Because we had things were going pretty well up until, May. And then that was that summer. Mhm. Pam says Darlene was pulled away. Darlene, I just have to say this. And Darlene's been she was with me from the, very beginning. She was my first subscriber, my first moderator. She was there when no one else was there, when it was just her and I, and I was starting off with my line. She was always there. When this happened, she was the last one. And she still has her wrench. I've never taken Darlene's wrench away. No. But there have been times when I sensed that even she might have questioned the truth of what people were saying at that time because it was just that intense. Okay. Everyone. I mean, just my whole channel collapsed. People, one by one. The narrative had been so planted that it literally, at that time, destroyed, and I had to rebuild. I've been destroyed, taken down, rebuilding, back and forth. My channel has been taken down 8 times. And each time it's this rebuild. But this would be the signaling here when Danny Robertson comes in. Let's see what Crazy Lucian says right here. Thank you, Unwind with Teddy, and everyone for listening and understanding. I am sorry I interrupted your show this evening. That was at 1 hour and 8 minutes when she finally, I just let her have, I listened. You see, I posted every comment that she made. You could barely hear me. I was like, you know, in the open. Just, wow. I was hurt to see that she was hurt. I didn't, you got to know, I didn't understand what was coming. I didn't know her role. I believed her. I trusted her. I revealed myself to Crazy Lucian. I did. Yeah, we did I guess over Instagram chat. She was so convinced at one point that she didn't believe me, and I was so convinced that she didn't trust me. I said, "Okay, I tell you what, I've not done this for anyone. I am not lying." I so trusted her. I turned my camera on for her. She said, "Prove to me that you're not, a white woman." You know, can you believe that? I sat here in my studio. I turned my camera on. She said, "If it's true, if you're not lying, turn your camera on." How trusting was I? Did she cut her camera on? No. Then I asked her, no. But what she did is she emailed me. I had her picture. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. And I've never posted it, but she's posted her own picture. Yeah. Mhm. And surely you must understand, after I've shown her to convince her, and then she walk away over to Goody to tell this story. Huh, I was literally begging to say, "Don't do this. What? Why are you doing this? Explain this. What did I do?" Literally. And I don't care if someone hears me say that. I don't mean on my hand and knees. I'm just saying that's how it felt. because I knew that would be the ultimate betrayal. You're going to go directly, and I'm thinking you're on my I just couldn't still didn't put it together. How could you do that? What? They're going to make me the laughing stock. This is what? Why would you? And Goody, she ate it up. And at the time, I was off my channel. I couldn't even get on YouTube. Okay. I had no, you know, Unwind with Teddy was down. Run Tell That Too was down. It was just a free fall. And I couldn't make videos or anything to push back on this. All right. So she says, thanks for, everyone for listening and understanding. I'm sorry. I think she knew exactly what she was doing by then. Mhm. I think so. Let's see this next one. Then Dave Oz comes on. He says a heart to her. People are saying goodbye. There's Jessie Cat, sending hearts because everyone was listening and could tell or thought, Crazy Lucian was like really pouring out her, how she felt about the channel and, you know, being the moderator and feeling like, the support just, basically like I let her and the other moderators down, because I didn't, stand up to these trolls. And I just let them run amok and, post things about us and say things. Yeah. And then Miss Redhead, you see, she says, I'm so sad this has happened. Crazy Lucian, I'm sending love and the kindness of thoughts to you and yours. Please know that you are loved. So everyone could tell that she was like leaving. Like she was done, basically. She was slowly, at that point, making her exit. Mhm. How convenient, because a few days later, mhm, when I'm thinking she's still with it, because when my channel went down, I, of course, contacted all my moderators, and Crazy Lucian would be the first on the email. Okay, that I'm telling her the details of it. I'm saying to her that it was Goody that took my channel down. That's what I said. I said it Trill Radio. I didn't know her. I like Goody took my channel down. Why? But then I told her, I think Danny has something to do with this. But why would Goody do this? She told me on the Instagram, I'll talk to Goody. Let me talk to her. Let me find out. Because before then, I said, I need to say something to her. She said, no, I'll do it. Let me do it. And when she said that, it was like, Goody? She had never mentioned Goody to me before as my moderator. I didn't know she had a relationship with Goody. Had no idea until that moment when she said, I'll talk to Goody. Let me handle it. I'll find out. Cub says, Goody took your channel down. Danielle Robertson took my channel down with a impersonation channel named Trill Radio. But they knew about it because Amina K said, that's Goody's channel. That was Danny and them did that. Now, how would Amina know that it was Danny and them? Couldn't it be somebody else that would have used that channel name? I have Amina's avatar and the conversation between Amina K, Red Label, Goody, and Crazy Lucian. And remember when, Goody said, I didn't do that. Mm-hmm. And then Danny Robertson would play that. Mm-hmm. Yes, Cup says, wait, Teddy, you is spilling some new tea. Yes, there's lots of detail. There's lots of things and parts. And they got mad, Baby Juju says, because you question it. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Because tell me how it would be such a coincidence that then Crazy Lucian would go like a beeline to Goody to sit on her panel and tell the story. That was already planned. I didn't know that she had that relationship with Goody. Mm-hmm. She gave her a platform. Mm-hmm. Yes, cups of conversations. Why would she use a fake Goody channel? Why not? In a sense, and then we could get into it. So at that time, I hadn't been struck by Danny Robertson. This was July of 2022, the first. Why? Because I kept asking, why? Why would Goody? Why? And that's why I said it had to be. It had to be Danny Robertson. But then the narrative would come out with all of the strikes that I was using, someone's copyright, and it was Nosy Whole Lives, all her videos, which didn't make any sense except but to point to Danny Robertson. Whose motivation would it be but hers? Mhm. But then when I challenged Goody on it much, much later, over a year after that, after, the whole Crazy Lucian, after all of that, and tried to even put up the receipt, she dismissed it. Like everybody knows that. No, you're not saying anything new. I told Goody that I had that receipt, that I could show, but I hadn't shown it. Then I put it up Trill T Radio. That I wasn't lying as why I thought it was Goody at first. The first thing I said, this is Goody. I didn't even really know what she was about. Not really. So here comes Danny Robertson after everybody's, sending love to uh, and saying goodbye to Crazy Lucian. I said I was going to try to make this quick. I just can't. Let's go. Start playing a little music. Um, Caramelinated hearts for Teddy, please. I guess you could just tell. Maybe. So here comes Danny Robertson. Let's play up a little bit leading to that. Let's see one. Sorry for that. Let me see what is playing here. Yeah. Crazy Lucian. I'm not going to put you on the spot. Okay. I'll just say, I hope that when you're ready, that you can feel free to, you know, call me. Okay. I said to her, Crazy Lucian, I hope when you're ready that you can feel free to call me. All right. I know I was just. I'll make sure that you'll have a way to get in touch with me. Just told her she has a way to get in touch with me. Um, no, this is not goodbye. It's until we meet again, and it, sorry, I was saying to her, this is not goodbye. You know, another time when you can get in touch with me. And I was very low and I felt, like this was goodbye. This was goodbye. But at that time, think about it. She had to make her exit. If she was part of this and she was aware of what was going on behind the scenes, like she's doing an investigation on me and, you know, doing things that I'm unaware of, she would need to cut ties because of what's to come in a few days. All right. It's, there's so much coming in. There's so much I'm thinking about. Yeah. Um, you know what? We can blot Danny Robertson. Did you hear what I just said? Did you hear that line? Did anyone just did anyone hear what I said? So I noticed that Danny Robertson was in the chat, and I said it was kind of low. I said we can block Danny Robertson, and then you're going to hear me get a little bit louder. So listen closely. We can block Danny Robertson. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to just throw her up real quick so we can just see her, so I can get a print of it. But you are not, you are not going to come into my house anymore. And no one's obsessed with you. Block that troll, Danny Robertson. Get her out of here. Done. Out. Oh, but I guess Dave wants to say something to you. Danny Robertson, it's interesting to see you in person. I've been investigating you for the past few weeks. You don't come in here and you threaten me, Danny Robertson. No payback. That's a threat, and it's in print. I want people to see the threat. I want people to see the threat. You don't know. So I'm going to pause it right there. You see, it's in black and white. The threat is right there. Payback is going to be a B because you keep lying on me. She came to my chat. She did it then. She came to my lunch and learn. Lunchtime, Teddy and the mob. She confronted me with her threats of what she was going to do. You see, it says Danny Robertson. Payback is gonna be a B. And it's been like that. And it's still like that. See, people need to know the history. We're going to go back and we're going to analyze these things. But what else was said? Okay. So she comes into the chat right after Crazy Lucian gives her hour of, how I didn't defend her and others and this channel and his goodbye. And then she comes in. We're lying on her. She even says Crazy Lucian. But that's part of the plan, I think. Because remember who was part of the plan? That boarding pass? To blame the doxing of Crazy Lucian on me, but Red Label posted the boarding pass so that Danny Robertson could see it. And his only excuse was Crazy Lucian asked me to post it. So he was well aware. His part, even if he says, I don't know what's going on. But he knew I was being accused of doxing Crazy Lucian. and it was being blamed on that boarding pass. And that's why people can't seem to understand why I question Red Label. You see, I know. He said he was too busy, had things going, and he doesn't get involved in things that are not about him. That's what he said in a post to someone else, like in chats. Oh, I don't, I just stand back and I observe. But he had a role in that. And he was knowledgeable of that. And that could have cleared my name because he was on the party line with Crazy Lucian, Amina K, and his good friend, Goody. You see, people can play in your face. So Danielle says payback is gonna be a B. Listen, let's see what else she said and see, watch this
what?
back and forth between.
Block her. I can block her. Where's my block pin? Goodbye, Danny Robertson. She was blocked. I don't know. It has a sword by it. She comes and she watches this chat. And she makes threats. I blocked her. And the threat of coming for me, there's nothing gonna be sorry for me. But it's in print. Okay? She made a threat. I got it in print. YouTube, she came on this channel and she made a threat. It had the little sword by it, right? The little sword, the little shield. The last time she said that person who was a troll didn't have that. It is her because she's coming back as truth teller. Okay. I'm going to click on it. Okay. Isn't it supposed to be some way you can click on this and tell if it's her or not? Isn't there supposed to be some way you can click on her? One of the moderators, Lisa, can you click on it? But you're threatening. You're threatening and you've been lying on us. And Dave Oz says, truth teller Danny, LOL, yes, that's another account we've been investigating. Hmm.
That really made her because I didn't ask Dave Oz to put those comments in the chat. I didn't ask Dave Oz to defend me. All right. I didn't ask Dave Oz to say any of that. And he said, Truth teller Danny. Yes, that's another account I've been investigating.
Go to pick and touch it. Maybe I need to read Dave Oz's comments because I haven't. Dave Oz says, Danny, if I'm a troll, then what are you? Dave Oz says, Danny Robertson feeling the heat in California?
Right there, you see there? Dave Oz was the first to say, I've been investigating you and feeling the heat in California. That was July the 11th, 2022. So when I say I have known about a Daniel Robertson soul cycle person in California, he has too. But I just put that off to the side. Listen,
Interesting comments. I'm going to read them. Dave Oz says, Danny Robertson, it's interesting to see you in person. I've been investigating you for the past few weeks. Dave Oz says, Miss Redhead, Danny needs to know, though. I'm watching her. Dave Oz says, Miss Redhead, Danny is digging her own grave here. Dave Oz says, Miss Redhead, some people have friends that you shouldn't mess with. Dave Oz says, Annie Robertson, I've been tracking you down in California. I'll leave it at that for now. Dave Oz says, I've been working in computer security for 20 plus years. Dave Oz says, if anyone here attacks this channel, they're not dealing with Teddy. They're dealing with me. We don't take kindly to threats. Thank you, Dave. I didn't know.
I don't know. He was from Australia, he said. He used to come into our chat and you listen to music just like the rest of us, laugh. You know, he was kind of quirky, and he said he was a computer specialist, security, that he was doing some work. At that time, it was um, when the war had broke out. It just broken out between Russia and Ukraine um, in February before the summer. hmm I guess it was the threat, the intimidation, the things that other people had seen leading up to. Everyone was aware of what was going on by then. There were videos out, uh, things being said that I was this stalker, and Teddy Bundy was out, and you know I had been depicted time and time and time again, in likened to this serial killer, Teddy Bundy, Ted Bundy, likened to him. All right. So I'm going to wrap this up, but I'm going to wrap it up with this. I think I can just do a quick analyze this on my original message that I sent to Daniel Robinson. I said, today, and I was talking about Nosy Whole Life. Okay. Today, she teams up with KC, her investigator. Remember that video where Nosy Whole Life? And so I'm giving Danielle a background. I said, here's my Halloween trick. Okay. I'm taking it statement by statement, putting it into AI. AI says, you're presenting a theme or a skit using existing content. The use of Halloween trick sets the tone as playful and non serious. Then AI analyzes my next statement. I had you in the projection room with me. Being when I used to do those videos, um, you could see Unwind with Teddy, or the little teddy bear sitting there in the director's chair. So I called it the projection room because it was set up like a mini theater, right? That's kind of how I did those um, movies, if you will. I said, I had you in the projection room with me. AI says this line plays with the idea of storytelling or virtual camaraderie, like you and Danielle are curating or presenting something together. So I'm explaining to her how it's going to go. Then I say, because we are both avatars, no one could tell. AI says you're highlighting a shared digital identity, likely referring to both of you using online personas rather than showing your real faces. It reads as an inside joke or mutual acknowledgement of digital anonymity. My next statement, I had you shout out the bear cave and make sporadic comments throughout the video. Too funny. People were saying, hi, Danny. AI says, this is the heart of your quote unquote trick. A synthetic or AI generated voice mimicking Danielle or referencing her during a video stream. You frame it as an amusing Halloween gag, with viewers engaging and greeting her as if she were present. I say, in real time, I had you shout out someone who appeared randomly. Again, AI says part of the trick, improvisational, sorry, and designed for entertainment, improv. You're making it clear this was you, not her. I told her, we think very much the same way. You see, I'm not going to cover anything up here, folks. No, because as I've said, it's documented. I have the receipts, and she should have hers too. I said, but I'm more shy. I told Rabbit, it's an alter ego. At that time, I didn't know her. Yes. And AI said, you express admiration or alignment, but not in a hostile or obsessive way. This is introspective, not threatening. If I can break someone else down, and if I can put someone else under the spotlight, then you better know that I'm ready to be put under the spotlight too. Because I'm taking receipts that aren't there, that I haven't shared. Okay. No matter what I've said in the past or done, I have a rationale and a reason. It wasn't to harm, it was a joke. It was playful. And if anyone knows about my channel, I had been having, you know, the mob. We have a Halloween on Fridays. We'd have like a movie or something like that. It wasn't a master plan as she painted it, because she always goes back to that, because she can go retrospective and make up a story. But we can have AI look at it. If it was that critical, and AI says it too. Wait a minute. Let's see. At the end. My tone and intent. Your intent appears non malicious and rooted in theatrical creativity. You clarify that you're playing or role playing and using voice effects as part of a Halloween themed broadcast. You never impersonate Danielle deceptively. You narrate the trick clearly, explaining that the voice is not real. Now it can be misconstrued, but the intent is nothing. It was not malicious. There is not one receipt that she can show. Not one. But that was the beginning of her story about what she called the single black female stalker. She said, I planned it from the beginning. Stalked her was all this master plan. And she's sold all these people on that. And it's evolved over time. Mhm. But if you look at her pattern, there's a common thread. Everyone's crazy, delusional, jealous, obsessed. Everyone feels rejected by her. Ask her to produce a receipt. She fabricates. I'm not the only person. It goes from person to person to person. Mhm. A strategy. So if anyone begins to tell the truth, she's going to try to silence them. And the way she goes about it is she tries to take the channels down one by one. Her, yes, Cups, it's the same pattern. You can look at everybody. It's the same mantra. It's the same diatribe. Long, lengthy passages that she writes to slowly but surely create a narrative that everybody is, you know, came after her first, stalked we all have bad intentions. Mm. And payback, you see, for her, it equalizes because she is anonymous. She can sit up there and say, payback is a B, because for her, there are no limits. Mhm. It's fear, intimidation, control. It's analyze this mess because someone had to say it. It's 1 a.m. Okay. There's so much more. But yeah, you mean you learned something new? In my own words. Mhm. Mm. You see, I'm not afraid to say what I've said and have it broken down. I wanted to do that so people could know in the future when I start breaking more of these down that I can look at myself as well. Yeah. Cups of Conversation says, because who creates a YouTube and gets managers just to have her talking? It's clearly someone running it. She's just a small fry in a hot grease. Analyze this mess. Um, Tomorrow morning, I probably won't come in on as early. Got some things to do, but if I can, you know, it'll be probably close to 2 o'clock before I get in bed because I still have some things to do. Yeah. All right. Biggest bear hugs go out to all the grizzlies and the honey bears. I appreciate you like listening to this. I didn't know how it was going to go. Um, yeah, you just never know what you're going to get. But you got that. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Teddy. Good night.
어지럽기만 해 이 많은 소음들에 그렇게 오는 거야 너의 시선은 깜빡이는 눈이 내게 입맞춘대 언제 그랬냐는 듯 내 옆에 다가와 Oh 틱톡 틱톡 눈을 굴려보내 힐끔힐끔 또 쳐다보네 볼 듯 안 보일 듯 또 끈을 보내 날 담기엔 이 밤이 너무 짧겠지 아슬아슬해 보여 네가 날 흔들 때 숨막히는 chemistry 이건 게임이 아니야 너도 알잖아 우리 불 끌었다 그다음 you're rewind Baby we can burn it up 지겹지가 않아 Just let it flow with me Our chemistry 끌어와 내게 가까이 Don't stop when you're all day 느려질 틈 없는 긴장 속에 널 다듬어 내 손끝에 너란 나는 걸 알면서도 빠져들어 너 벗어날 수 없게 틱톡 틱톡 잔을 채워 너의 deeper deeper 자꾸 쏟아지네 천천히 조여봐 내 숨결까지 위태위태하게 함께 춤을 추자 아슬아슬해 보여 네가 날 흔들 때 숨막히는 chemistry 이건 게임이 아니야 너도 알잖아 우리 불 끌었다 그다음 you're rewind Baby we can burn it up 지겹지가 않아 Just let it flow with me Our chemistry Our chemistry 끌어와 내게 가까이 Don't stop when you're all day 느려질 틈 없는 긴장 속에 널 다듬어 내 손끝에 너란 나는 걸 알면서도 빠져들어 너 벗어날 수 없게 틱톡 틱톡 잔을 채워 너의 deeper deeper 자꾸 쏟아지네 천천히 조여봐 내 숨결까지 위태위태하게 함께 춤을 추자 아슬아슬해 보여 네가 날 흔들 때 숨막히는 chemistry 이건 게임이 아니야 너도 알잖아